This is an online debrief for the Accruals and Prepayments webinar extra question. So in this question here, our year end is the 30th of September 2000X4. In any accruals and prepayments question, that's the most important piece of information. If you don't know the year end, you don't get it clear in your mind, you will get the question wrong. So other information we've been given is our balances as at the 1st of October 2000X3. So these are our opening balances. And we've got some for accountancy and some for insurance. So what we're going to do is focus on one expense first and then the other. Let's not try and muddle things up. So let's go with accountancy. At the beginning of the year, we've got accrued accountancy fees of £14,600. So that's something that last year we accrued for. Even though we hadn't had the invoice or paid the bill, we knew that that expense belonged in the year. So we would have accrued for that expense by debiting accountancy and crediting accruals because we had a liability in the fact that a bill was coming. So at the beginning of the year, we're going to reverse that accrual. So we'll debit accruals to get rid of the liability and we'll credit the accountancy expense with £14,600. Because although we're going to pay the bill in this year, we don't want the expense in this year. Remember, the payment will be a debit in the expense account, so this credit will reduce the expense. We're then told that during the year we made payments to the accountant totaling £34,060. That's from the bank. Now the bank must be correct, so we never adjust this figure. We use the accruals and prepayments to adjust the charge for the year. So credit the bank and debit the accountancy expense account. We're then told that in November 2000X4, so after our year end, an invoice was received for £15,300, which was preparation for the accounts for the year ended 2000X4. So that, although it was received after our year end, relates to preparing this year end's account. So it relates to this year, that expense. So we're going to accrue for it. So we're going to debit the expense because we want to bring this expense in with £15,300. And the other side would be a credit to accruals because at the year end, we know there's a liability, there's an invoice coming. So we can now balance these accounts off and work out our charge for the profit and loss for the year. So this is obviously the large side, and that balances off at £49,360. So take away the £14,600 opening accrual, will give us a charge to P&L of £34,760. Now just add them up to make sure that it does balance off the correct figure of £49,360. So that's accountancy. Let's move on to insurance. So at the beginning of the year, we're told we've got an opening prepaid insurance cost. That is something that last year we paid for, and not all of it belonged in last year's account, so we prepaid it. We removed it from the accounts from September 2000X3. So the double entry would have been debit prepayments because that is an asset. Prepaid insurance you can either use to make a sale and run your business in the future, or you could potentially get your money back if your insurance company allowed it. So it's an asset. So debit prepayments and credit insurance to reduce last year's charge. So that's what we'll have done last year. So reverse the opening accrual, credit prepayments to get rid of that asset. We've used the insurance, so we can't get our money back. And then debit insurance, because although we didn't pay for it this year, we have used that expense during the year. Again, we're told that we paid £34,870 out of the bank account. Simple again, credit the bank, debit the insurance account. £34,870. We're also told that within that amount, it includes a figure of £28,400 in respect to the premium for the year ended 31st of March 2000X3. So that's the year ended 31st of March 2000X3. Our year end is the 30th of September 2000X4. So we paid for insurance for October X4, November, December, January X5, February X5, March X5. So 6 of the 12 months of the actual insurance we've paid doesn't belong in our year. So 6/12, so a half of the 28,400 belongs in next year. So we're going to prepay that. So we debit prepayments and then credit the expense, because we don't want to show that expense in this year. It belongs in next year. So half of that will be £14,200. We can then balance that off to come to our charge to the P&L for the year. So this is the largest side, so that balances off £41,170. P&L figure, so take off the closing accrual of 14,200, gives us a figure of £26,970. Again, check that balances £41,170.